The night winds of Viridian whispered through the abandoned ruins at the edge of Nexus Colony. Among the forgotten structures, Nisha Tavari sat alone, her six-fingered hands dancing over the strings of her korthi, an instrument carved from the bones of an ancient creature. The melody that emerged was hauntingly beautiful. Echoing her isolation, Nisha's violet skin gleamed in the dual moonlight. But the right side of her face remained in shadow, by accident but by design. The deep branching scars that marred her features had made her an outcast among the Zenithian people, who valued physical perfection above all else. Unworthy, they had called her. Tainted. A bad omen at 32 cycles, she should have been mated with a high-ranking male, producing offspring for the colony's future. Instead, she lived on scraps and whispers, her only companion the music that flowed from her fingertips. The distant rumble of engines disrupted her solitude. Nisha paused, her large, iridescent eyes widening as she watched the human vessel descend through Viridian's crimson clouds. The diplomatic corps had arrived, the first official human delegation since the tentative peace agreement. She should have retreated deeper into the ruins, but curiosity rooted her in place. The Zenithians spoke of humans with a mixture of fear and fascination, their unpredictable emotions, their strange obsession with individuality, their inexplicable courage. From her vantage point, Nisha observed the welcoming ceremony. Zenithian officials, their ceremonial robes billowing in the wind, greeted the humans with practiced formality. Among the visitors, one figure stood taller than the rest, a broad-shouldered man whose posture spoke of authority. Commander Jackson Reed surveyed the alien landscape with measured interest. This mission represented humanity's first step toward genuine alliance with the Zenithians. A former soldier turned diplomat, Jackson understood the delicate nature of these negotiations. Commander Reed, Governor Tallis approached, his elongated head bowing slightly. "We welcome you to Nexus Colony. The honor is ours," Jackson replied, his voice deep and steady. "Earth looks forward to strengthening our bonds." As the formal introductions proceeded, an unfamiliar sound caught Jackson's attention, music unlike anything he'd heard before. Haunting and complex, it seemed to call to something deep within him. "What's that melody?" asked his Zenithian guide. The official's expression tightened. Nothing of importance. Merely the noise of an unworthy one. Jackson's brow furrowed. Unworthy? A damaged female, the guide dismissed with a wave. "We do not speak of such things. Please this way to the ceremonial hall." But Jackson's eyes had already found the source's solitary figure half hidden among the ruins. Even from this distance, he could see the musician was watching them intently. Later, as the diplomatic party settled into their quarters, Jackson stood at his window. The twin moons of Viridian cast an ethereal glow over the landscape. In the distance, the melody had resumed, more melancholy than before. Something about that music pulled at him. Something about the unworthy one the Zenithians so quickly dismissed. Jackson made a decision. Tomorrow, after the formal meetings, he would find the mysterious musician. Unexpected connection. Isha's heart nearly stopped when she saw the human approaching her sanctuary. His uniform marked him as one of the important visitors, the tall one who had seemed to notice. Yesterday, she scrambled to collect her few possessions, prepared to flee, but pride kept her rooted. This was her place. She would not be driven from it, even by a human. "Hello," Jackson called, his translator device converting his words to the Zenithian tongue. "I heard your music." Nisha turned away, keeping the scarred side of her face hidden. "You should not be here. Your kind consorts with the worthy." Jackson stepped closer, careful to move slowly. "I'm Commander Jackson Reed, and you are?" "I am no one," she replied, her voice barely audible. "The colony calls me Tainted One. That's not a name," Jackson said firmly. "What do you call yourself?" The question startled her. No one had asked for a name in years. "Nisha," she finally answered. "Nisha Tavari." "Your music is beautiful, Nisha. I've never heard anything like it." She clutched her Karathi tighter. "It is the only beauty I am permitted to create." Jackson studied the ruins around them. "Live here? Alone? The worthy do not welcome the tainted among them." Curiosity overcame caution, and Nisha finally turned toward him fully, revealing the network of scarring that traced from her temple down to her jaw. The marks glowed faintly silver against her violet skin, a permanent reminder of the accident that had claimed her status. She waited for the disgust, the recoil that always came when others saw her face. Instead, Jackson simply nodded. I have scars too. Most are just not visible. Yet the simple acknowledgement, free of pity or revulsion, shook something loose inside her. Why are you here, Commander? Jackson, he corrected. And I wanted to hear more of your music. In the days that followed, Jackson returned whenever diplomatic obligations allowed. He brought her food, not scraps, and listened as she played. He spoke of Earth, of stars she'd never see, of human customs that seemed both alien and fascinating. One evening, as Viridian's sun set in fiery tandem, Jackson brought her a small datapad. It's music from Earth, he explained. Thought you might like to hear it. The strange melodies entranced her, so different from Zenithian harmonics, yet somehow speaking to the same emotions. Why do you bother with me? Nisha finally asked. Your delegation meets with the colony's leaders. I am nothing. Jackson's gaze was steady. Because when everyone else looks at you, they see what they want to see. When I look at you, I see Nisha, remarkable woman with extraordinary talent and courage. The words warmed her like sunlight. For the first time in years, Nisha felt something beyond resignations, something dangerous and fragile. Hope. The mining transport lost control, Nisha explained, her fingers tracing the silver scars unconsciously. I was 10 cycles old. My parents worked the crystalline deposits in the northern ridge. They sat together on a fallen column, the ruins bathed in twilight. Above them, the stars emerged one by one, witnessing their forbidden exchange. The vehicle crashed through the community center. 23 died, including my family. I survived, but the crystalline dust embedded in my wounds. Nisha's voice remained steady. The wounds healed, but the crystals remained, marking me as unlucky a reminder of tragedy. Jackson reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers gently traced the silvery patterns. They're beautiful, he said softly. Nisha trembled at his touch, the first gentle contact she'd experienced in years. The colony doesn't see beauty in imperfection. Humans have a different perspective, Jackson replied. We often find beauty in uniqueness, in resilience. And you? She asked, her large eyes searching his. What do you see when you look at me? I see someone who survived, he answered. Someone who created beauty despite cruelty. I see strength. Nisha moved closer, emboldened by his words. Tell me of your scars, Jackson. He was silent for a moment, then rolled up his sleeve, revealing a synthetic patch of skin on his forearm. Plasma burn. The war with the Arcturus Coalition claimed my unit. I was the only survivor. You understand being the one left behind? Nisha whispered. Every day, he admitted. Sometimes I hear them in my dreams. I hear the music they might have made, she confessed. The songs never sung. Their shared understanding hung between them, a bridge across worlds. When Jackson's hand found hers, their fingers interlaced naturally, despite their anatomical differences. The first kiss was tentative an exploration of alienness. His lips were warmer than hers, his breath quicker. But the tenderness transcended their differences. As the moons reached their zenith, they discovered each other's bodies with reverent curiosity. Jackson traced the luminescent patterns that swirled across Nisha's shoulders. She marveled at the strange smoothness of his skin, the warmth that radiated from him. Their intimacy was both alien and familiar, as two souls finding harbor in each other's differences. When they finally came together, it was with gentle wonder, transcending the biological gap between their species. Afterward, as they lay beneath the stars, Jackson spoke of Earth's oceans, of cities that never slept, of forests that changed colors with the seasons. Nisha described the sacred pools of her ancestral homeland, the mountain ceremonies she'd never been permitted to attend. The diplomatic mission ends in 14 days, Jackson said finally, the words heavy between them. Nisha's fingers tightened around his. What happens then? I don't know, he admitted. But I can't pretend this hasn't changed everything. The distant sound of approaching vehicles shattered their moment. Zenithian security patrols were sweeping the ruins. You must go, Nisha urged, suddenly fearful. "If they find you here, I'll return tomorrow," Jackson promised, gathering his uniform. "We'll figure this out." As he disappeared into the shadows, Nisha touched her lips, still warm from his kiss. For the first time in her life, she allowed herself to imagine a future beyond isolation. "Stars between us, fraternization with a tainted one is strictly forbidden," Governor Talus stated coldly. His elongated fingers steepled before him. "You have jeopardized the entire diplomatic mission," Commander Reed. Jackson stood at attention in the Colonial Administration chamber, diplomatic protocols warring with his personal feelings. "With respect, Governor, my personal associations are not subject to Xanathian law." "Your personal associations are an affront to our most sacred values," Talus retorted. "The female is marked by tragedy. Contact with her is considered ... contaminating." From the Earth delegation, Ambassador Winters stepped forward. "Commander, perhaps you should consider the broader implications of your actions." Jackson felt trapped between worlds, his duty to Earth's diplomatic corps and his growing feelings for Nisha. "I understand the concerns." But a sudden commotion interrupted them as a Xanathian scientist burst into the chamber. "Governor, the seismic monitors indicate imminent crystalline destabilization beneath the colony." The room erupted in controlled panic. The crystalline formations that powered Nexus Colony were notoriously volatile when disturbed. If they destabilized, the resulting explosion would devastate the settlement. "Evacuate the lower quadrants," Talus ordered. "Activate the containment protocols." "The traditional protocols won't work," the scientist explained frantically. "The destabilization pattern is unprecedented." Jackson's mind raced to Nisha and her knowledge of the crystal formations. Her parents had been miners. She understood the crystals better than most. "I know someone who might help," he said firmly. Governor Talus scoffed. "This is hardly the time for someone who survived crystalline exposure," Jackson continued. "Someone who carries those crystals in her body and has studied their properties for years." The governor's expression shifted from dismissal to calculation. "The tainted female." "Impossible. Her name is Nisha Tavari Jackson," insisted. "And she might be your only chance." Within hours, Nisha stood before the colony's leadership, her scarred face exposed to their judging eyes. Despite their open disgust, she explained the resonance patterns of the crystals, how her own scars sometimes hummed in response to subterranean shifts. "The frequencies must be countered, not contained," she explained. "I can calibrate the sonics if you grant me access to the central chamber." Desperation overcame prejudice, and Talus reluctantly agreed. As Nisha worked alongside the colony's engineers, Jackson watched with pride and growing concern. The danger was real. If anything went wrong, they would all perish. "Be careful," he whispered when they had a moment alone. Nisha's eyes met his, determination shining in their depths. "For the first time, I have something to be careful for." Beyond the horizon, the twin suns of Viridian rose over a colony forever changed. The crystalline crisis had been averted. Nisha's unorthodox solution had not only prevented disaster, but had stabilized the formations more effectively than ever before. Standing at the edge of her ruins, now bustling with activity as scientists studied her methods, Nisha watched as the diplomatic vessels prepared for departure. Earth was recalling its delegation following the successful negotiations. "They're calling you a hero," Jackson said. Approaching from behind, Nisha turned, her expression a mixture of wonder and uncertainty. "The colony has granted me quarters in the northern sector. Some still avoid my gaze, but others now seek my knowledge." "You've earned their respect," he replied, taking her hand. "Yet you must leave," she said softly. "Your mission is complete." Jackson's expression grew serious. "I've requested a permanent diplomatic position here. Ambassador Winters has approved it." Nisha's breath caught. "You would stay here? Unless," he continued, his voice dropping lower, "you'd consider coming with me? Earth has never had a Xanathian cultural ambassador. Your music could build bridges between our worlds."
Oh, the possibility
unfurled before her like a cosmic dawn Earth. With its oceans and forests, its cities and its acceptance of imperfection, Would your people accept me? She asked. Not everyone, Jackson admitted honestly, but many would. On Earth, your scars would be seen as marks of survival, not shame. Nisha looked out over the colony that had rejected her for so long. I never thought to leave this world, we could return, he offered. Build a life between worlds. It won't be easy, but she silenced him with a kiss, her decision made. Nothing worthwhile ever is. As the diplomatic vessel rose through Viridian's atmosphere days later, Nisha pressed her hand against the viewport, watching her homeworld shrink beneath them. Her Karathi was safely stowed, ready to introduce Earth to Zenithian music. Beside her, Jackson's steady presence anchored her through the fear of the unknown. What are you thinking? He asked, noticing her expression. That sometimes being unworthy leads you exactly where you belong, she replied, turning toward him. That sometimes it takes someone from another world to see you truly. The stars stretched before them, countless possibilities. Countless worlds where two different beings might find common ground. As Earth awaited them, Nisha composed a new melody in her mind, one that spoke, not of isolation, but of bridges built across the void, and in the silver scars that traced her face. The starlight of their journey reflected like a map to their future,